Hey everybody, this is Charlie, the Pennsylvania grain farmer, coming to you from, well, right now, on and off cloudy and sunny western Pennsylvania. It's a hot and humid day here, as it's been for a while. We have some on and off rain, which has been going on for several weeks now, and that's getting to be a little bit concerning because I have Timothy horse hay that I need to get baled, which had just started coming into head whenever the rain started a couple weeks ago, and now the hay's ready, and I just can't get it off. But in any event, the purpose of this video is cousin Scott, soybean farmer's cousin down in North Carolina, who has become a friend of mine too, has asked me to do a crop tour video. He had done one here about a week or so ago, and in one of the comments he suggested that I do one as well, so that's what we're going to do. Normally I do this on the 4th of July, and I did go out and got a picture of how big my corn was at that point. And so we're 3 days later, and really stuff has grown a lot. The fertilizer has kicked in, the urea that I spread a couple weeks ago, that coupled with the rain we've been getting, and now the last couple of days we're getting some rain, but we're getting some sunshine too, and some heat, and of course that's helping. So let's go out on our tour. We're going to take the quad here and do a little ride around the farm. Okay, this is one of the later fields that I planted. All my corn was planted within about 5 days of each other, but this was one of the later fields, and you can see that it's pretty high considering the kind of year that we had. We had from the middle of May to the middle of June, those 4 weeks where we had basically no rain at all. But luckily my corn was planted and had already come up. Now this field was one of the earlier fields that I planted, and some of this is chest high, some of it's over head high. That's one thing that Corey and I, we had gone out yesterday and taken a little ride around the farm, but one of the things that we noticed was, and he's seen it on his farm and we see it on other farms, is that in the same field the corn varies quite a bit in height, even from one row to the next. But this stuff here is about head high, which is where I like it to be this time of year. Over here on the right is one of my fields of oats, which I was getting kind of worried about because it was really short. This is supposed to be a medium height oats. I don't like a real tall oat because a lot of times, later in July and beginning of August, about the time you're going to harvest, you'll end up getting big thunderstorms and high winds, and a lot of times if your oats is too tall, it'll flatten it. But I thought this oats was going to be exceedingly short. However, the rain came just in time before the heads popped out, and then it came out in head, got taller, and now it looks like I'm going to have a decent crop of oats, as well as I should get a decent amount of straw off of it too, which is good because I definitely have a good market for the straw. And there are a lot of people that have watched my videos the last couple years on how I plant my oats, and they say, oh, that's a silly way to do it, that's never going to work. Well, what I say to them is look here at the results. It looks, I'm not saying it's the best oats that there is or the best oats around or anything like that, but as far as I'm concerned, it looks pretty good, and that's all that matters, and I'm satisfied with my methods. So okay, we're going to continue around the farm here. Okay, this is one of my Timothy fields that I'd like to be baling. As you can see, the Timothy, or you might be able to see, the Timothy is pollinating right now. And it's starting to get some kind of like little wild daisies in it, but not really a lot of weeds or anything. It just it needs to be cut and baled, and I just, because I sell this for horse hay, I have to do it perfect, and if it gets rained on, then it's done. So I'm hoping that hoping and praying that the weather's going to straighten out so that I'll be able to get this off before the main thing I worry about, besides the Timothy drying on the stalk, is wild carrot or Queen Anne's lace growing up in it. Hopefully I can, because then the horse people definitely don't want it. All right, we'll be back. All right, now we're on the eastern side of the farm. The cliff that I've shown in numerous videos in the past is just beyond these trees and drops down about 250 feet to a river, and then in the distance you see the Allegheny Mountains. But in any event, here's the first of my soybean fields that we're encountering on this little crop tour. I'm not really happy with the beans, but you know what? I haven't seen any good beans around anywhere this year. That dry time that we had really seemed to have held them back, and they're not anywhere near where they ought to be for this time of year, but at least they're nice and green, and you know, hopefully we'll get caught up. I'd say that, not bragging, but they're at least as good as anybody else's around, because you know, really nobody seems around here seems to have any soybeans they can brag about. And by the way, if you notice the uneven spacing in my rows, don't forget that I plant my beans using my corn planter, and I plant 38-inch rows of corn. So I use that same planter to plant my beans, which means that I get to go over it twice and plant. When I go over the second time, I plant in between where I planted the first time. So theoretically, if I do it right, I have 19-inch rows. As you can see, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. Now coming up here ahead of this is a field of second cut clover, which is just starting to bloom. Corey had baled this for his steer because I don't have another market for it, so I sold it to him off the field, and we were just out yesterday looking at this, and he's going to be coming up soon to get this cut and baled out. All right, here on the other side of the fence row is another field of corn. Another field of second cut clover. There, by the way, is the cliff. And another field of corn. If nothing else, one thing you can see that there is that difference in height that I mentioned earlier, which I'm not really sure I understand, but a lot of other people are telling me they're seeing the same thing. I don't know, maybe it was a planting date or whatever, but I can say with certainty that mine is right now a little bit taller than most people's in our area, and I don't mean it in a bragging sort of way. I just, you know, saying that as a matter of fact. And here's another cornfield. Thanks to God, my, you know, the stand is pretty good. one of the, I think actually the video that I did on planting corn this year was, might have been on this particular field. I don't remember for sure. But things have really picked up since we started getting that rain. I mean, and I spread my urea about 2 weeks ago, and I know that it takes a while in the ground before it's in a condition that it can be used. And this corn's really shooting up. I mean, you know, within a matter of a couple of days, it's growing many inches. And then you can, again, in here, you can see some of the unevenness in it. But and here's another field of oats, which seems to be pretty full. I plant about 2.5 bushels to the acre of oat seed. And here's some soybeans. And more corn. And another field of beans. Those beans, I sprayed them about 2.5 weeks ago, and I'll tell you what, they were full of weeds. They were so weedy. Oh, by the way, here's another field of Timothy that I got to get off. But these beans were so full of weeds, I couldn't see the rows anymore. Here's another big, this is a 4.5 acre field of Timothy, not Timothy, but soybeans. This field is really, it's kind of narrow, but it's almost a ½ mile long. And I think it's some of the best beans that I have. That same soybean field in the end. And this is a 10-acre cornfield, so that's, you know, almost a fifth of the corn that I have planted. And again, it got off to a slow start with the dryness that we had, but it's starting to grow now. And then this is my my final field of oats. I had 3 fields, and that one way in the distance over there is the one that I showed you early on. But again, it's a nice stand of oats, and I think we're going to get some, you know, good yield off of it, and hopefully good straw. And then beyond that is the other end of this 10-acre field, which just makes kind of a U around this oats field. And you can see that, you know, compared to how tall the oats are, that corn there is way over head high right now, at least in spots. And then there's one more cornfield down here. This is some of my nicer corn. Some of that's, you know, right now way over my head. And that's usually my gauge. I know everybody says knee-high by the 4th of July, but, you know, that was 60 years ago with the kind of hybrids that they had back then. Now, if it's the 4th of July and your corn's knee-high, I'd say you're in trouble. You know, or you had weather problems. But this corn, it's 3 days after the 4th of July, and a lot of that's over my head. So again, I'm not bragging, I'm just stating a fact. But I'm really really grateful for the rain that we got and the way it's turning everything around. So that's pretty much it. We're right above the red shed again, and so that's going to complete our crop tour. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, I hope that you'll hit the like button and consider subscribing. And if you have subscribed, I appreciate that very much. So for now, this is Charlie, the Pennsylvania grain farmer, saying we'll see you next time.